We have I'm gonna butcher this for sure. Arman Tsarukyan versus Nasrat Haqparast.
I think you
Uh,
nailed it.
this is a wild swing in the odds here. So there's a heavy favorite here. I'm not touching this fight from my DraftKings lineup, but I do have some opinions. Nick, what are your thoughts on this fight? Are you scooping anybody up? You agree with these odds?
I am touching this fight. I think that Arman Tsarukyan, whatever, is absolutely nasty. He looked amazing his last fight. He beat Davi Ramos, who's a Abu Dhabi champion. He took him down. He outstruck him. But Ramos was more of a top game wrestler. I mean, a top game grappler. So he works for that top position, and he's from bottom. He's not as good. So beating him in that realm doesn't impress me as much. It's still very, very good. But Nasrat Haqparast, his wrestling looks really great. His last fight, he fought Alex Munoz, who took me down a bunch of times when we fought. And he got taken out once and hopped back up. And his striking is really good. He has a few really good knockouts. And I think for his value, he's a good pick in a fight that I think will go the distance, but he could end it. And I feel like Tsarukyan only has a chance by decision.
All right, so you're going with Nasrat on this one.
Nasrat, I'm drafting Nasrat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jacob, you made a weird face, and that might just be your actual face. But what are your thoughts on this?
So originally picking this lineup, I had known of Nasrat before. I saw his picture immediately, was thinking, I don't care who he's fighting, I'm picking this guy because he's an unbelievable striker, really, really good boxer. So I actually had him in my lineup all week, and then I started researching for this, and I watched film of Arman, and my God, is this guy incredible. Unbelievable striker. His last loss, and I can't remember when it was to my boy Islam. I love Islam. Islam trains at AKA. He's boys with Khabib. Unbelievable wrestler. And this dude, Arman, had the back of Islam. It was unbelievable. This guy was rolling around with Islam. He ended up losing the decision, but the way they were grappling and stuff, I just don't see Nasrat being able to hang with him at all. So I took this and actually flipped my pick. I went from picking Nasrat to now Arman's in my lineup. He's won 14 of 15, like I said. His last loss was to Islam, who's just unbelievable. The other guy is an incredible boxer, and from what I saw in one of his fights, he was dropped pretty quick. I don't have a list of what fight it was, but it's just kind of
Drew Dober.
Was it just kind of a glancing shot, if I remember right? He does have 6 first-round finishes on his resume. So, I mean, if he hits you, you're probably going to go down, but I just think Arman just is too well-rounded and unbelievable wrestler, and he gets it done, and he's in my lineup.
Yeah, I personally, I agree. I mean, Arman's a phenomenal wrestler, and what he does really well is he's a phenomenal chain wrestler. So he will not stop. He's unrelenting. If he has an inch of your leg, he'll drop his hips and switch sides. And if he lifts it up and you sprawl, then he'll drop down to a double and he'll go to that side. And if you sprawl on that, he'll come back up to, he's just going to keep moving and transitioning. With that being said, I did the Nick Newell math, and there's a common opponent between Nick and Nasrat here, and Nasrat stuffed some of those takedowns, and really, it impressed me. We essentially, the big unknown is what happens if he fights a really good wrestler, and he did fight a really good wrestler, and he won. So, as good of a wrestler as Arman, or the same style where he's just unrelenting, never stop chain wrestling? No. But I agree at $7,300 with the power that he has, the striking that he has, and he has fought wrestlers before, and he's not intimidated, and he's won those fights. I think that's a solid pick, especially, again, if you need to squeeze somebody into a lineup because you drafted some heavy favorites, this is a great pick to do that. Dan, did you grab either one of them? You're on mute. You're on mute, Dan.
Sorry about that. I was just telling you that I do have Arman in my lineup right now, but he's one. I'm either going with him, or in the next fight, I'll talk to you about the other guy. I'm in between two guys right now for the money at $8,900. But from what I saw, yeah, they're both good. I think I see the value at the $7,300. But I do have Arman in my lineup right now. I may just switch it out for somebody else. So it's kind of a coin flip between the two.
So if it was regular,
I think they both have great value. I think Arman, as far as the way he can dominate a fight, $8,900 is incredible value. And I think Nasrat at 7,300 is also incredible value with his finishing power. And like you said, his takedown defense. So I honestly don't think you can go wrong either way. It just depends on how you've built the rest of your lineup.
So that's a solid point, because if Arman wins, he'll score a ton of points. Dan, so you mentioned DraftKings wise, you're not positive, but if you had to pick a winner in this fight, no money.
I think Arman will win. Okay. So I didn't get to watch a lot of tape on either of these two guys. I did watch a little bit of Arman's latest fight. It looks to be a very fluid striker. Nick mentioned the last fight against what's his name? Yeah, and that guy throws bombs too. Like, outside of the jiu-jitsu game he was throwing some heat. And Arman had good defense, landed good shots, ended up on top, and just looked like he's a very, very skilled fighter. But for the 5 seconds I watched of Nasrat, I was like, man, this guy looks game too. So I have Arman in my lineup, but I potentially switching him out. I want to watch a little bit more video. I may switch him out for Azaitir. I think that's probably the next fight, so we'll talk about it in a minute. But they're both around the same value, so I'm between those two.